Okay, let's dive right into this explainer because we are looking at a truly fascinating, completely game-changing slice of American history today. We're going to examine how one single, intensely competitive year, 1962, birthed two drastically different, yet surprisingly connected American staples. We usually think of major global empires as entirely distinct things, right? Like they all have totally different playbooks. But as we're going to see, the foundation for modern consumerism actually has a very specific shared origin story.
It is absolutely wild to pair these two guys together. Glenn Bell, the pioneer of the fast food taco, and Sam Walton, the visionary behind discount big box retail. I mean, on the surface, you really couldn't find two more wildly different industries. One is dealing in seasoned beef, crunchy shells, and tortillas, while the other is building these towering aisles of discounted household goods and hardware. Yet, both of these brilliant entrepreneurs built their global empires using the exact same foundational strategy.
So, to truly understand how modern consumerism was born, we have to ask kind of an absurd question. What in the world does a massive big box store and a drive-through taco joint actually have in common? Well, it's not their supply chains, it's not their real estate strategy, and it certainly wasn't their target demographic back then. The real answer lies in the highly unique, aggressive approach both of their founders took to problem solving in a really crowded, noisy marketplace.
And it all traces back to this specific year, 1962. It was a total watershed moment. The first Walmart discount city opened its doors in Rogers, Arkansas. And meanwhile, all the way over on the West Coast, the very first Taco Bell opened up in Downey, California. Now, neither man was the first to invent discount retail, and neither was the very first to sell a taco. They were jumping into live, incredibly fast-moving races with basically zero strict rules. So how did they pull ahead and win the whole thing?
Part 1, the reconnaissance phase, stealing good ideas.
So both of our founders started from scratch in these heavily crowded markets by just obsessively observing their local competitors. They didn't lock themselves in some sterile boardroom to brainstorm theories. They went out into the field. Take Sam Walton. He didn't build Walmart from a comfy corner office. No, he literally hit the road in a station wagon, traveling relentlessly from state to state. He just walked right into his competitors' stores and take meticulous notes on everything. How were the stores laid out? What pricing strategies were actually drawing foot traffic? How did people naturally move through the aisles? Every single trip was a crucial data point for him.
Over in California, Glenn Bell was doing his own version of intense field research, basically by eating a ton of food at the Meatla Cafe. He had become completely enamored with their traditional tacos dorados, which was the local precursor to the crunchy taco we all know now. Now, he knew burger joints like McDonald's were highly profitable because of their streamlined fast food format, but they definitely weren't selling tacos. So Bell set out to painstakingly reverse-engineer Meatla's beloved recipe and adapt it into a highly unique, burger-beating fast food system.
And this brilliantly illustrates a core truth for both of these men. As one observer perfectly put it, he wasn't copying anyone. He was building judgment through repetition. They fundamentally viewed the retail world as a live, interactive classroom. Whether it was Walton driving hundreds of miles on back roads to check out a new discount layout, or Bell figuring out exactly how to mass-produce a crunchy shell without it shattering into a million pieces, they were actively turning competitor observations into a massive proprietary advantage.
Part 2. The wait really factor? The original Taco Bell.
There is a serious wait, really factor when you look back at Taco Bell's early days. The original restaurants looked drastically different from the sleek, neon purple branding we all know today. They actually featured classic Spanish mission-style architecture, complete with a tiled roof veranda, arches, and yes, an actual physical bell to welcome customers. And when Glenn Bell officially opened that very first location on July 6, 1962, his initial menu was shockingly simple. No dozens of customizable late-night options, just 5 original items.
Let's run through what those 5 items actually were. You had the bean burrito, the crunchy taco, pintos and cheese, and the tostada. But get this, the absolute most surprising item was the Bell Burger. This was essentially a taco served in a standard hamburger bun, filled with seasoned ground beef, taco sauce, and shredded cheese. It was this incredibly literal bridge between the traditional American burger stand and this entirely new Mexican-inspired concept, sort of a transitional food before it finally got discontinued in the 1970s.
The really crucial point here is why this specific menu worked so incredibly well. Back in 1962, a lot of Americans barely even recognized what a taco was. Diners were literally pronouncing it tacos. So, Taco Bell acted as what was called a safe foray.
a highly approachable, Americanized entry point into a totally foreign cuisine for non-Latino Americans living in a very culturally segregated society. Bell took an unfamiliar food and cleverly presented it in a completely familiar, accessible fast food format.
Part 3. From Single Store to Replicable System.
Now, while Glenn Bell was systematizing the taco to make it fully approachable, Sam Walton was doing the exact same thing for discount retail. Both men inherently knew that having a good idea in one single location just wasn't enough. You had to build a machine. Walton took his years of station wagon reconnaissance and stress-tested it at scale. He figured out that a successful chain isn't made by low prices alone. You need highly disciplined operations, a really smart and low-cost assortment of goods, and calculated psychological layouts designed specifically to ensure customers keep coming back. He forged a replicable retail system that was vastly superior to the older, old boys network way of running stores.
Part 4. The 1970s shift, the catalyst for expansion. Both of these incredible local successes spent the 1960s tweaking and refining their systems. And because they did all that hard work of observing and systematizing early on, they were perfectly positioned for the massive macroeconomic shifts that hit America in the following decade. The 1970s brought huge changes. You had the birth of environmentalism with the first Earth Day in 1970 and the historic withdrawal of U.S. forces from Vietnam in 1973. The post-war baby boom had officially ended. Economically, the decade entirely favored the exact discount big-box models that Sam Walton had perfected. Consumers were desperately looking for value and convenience in a rapidly changing world.
But check out this data, because this is the absolute most staggering piece of information from our sources, and it explains so much about the sudden explosion of fast food in retail. Look at the participation rate of married women in the workforce. In 1960, it sat at 27.6%. By 1970, it climbed to 39.7%, and by 1980, it had skyrocketed to 54.1%. That means it very nearly doubled in just 2 short decades. So with significantly more women entering the workforce, a fundamental shift happened at home. Time became incredibly precious. Families desperately needed meals they didn't have to painstakingly cook from scratch, and, crucially, meals they didn't have to clean up after. This massive cultural shift propelled the casual dining and fast food boom straight into the stratosphere. Taco Bell, with its highly efficient, systematized, and affordable menu, was perfectly placed to capture this exact demographic shift.
Part 5. The Empires of Today.
Let's bring this all together. The foundational, on-the-ground work Bell and Walton did in 1962 didn't just build successful regional businesses, it cemented legacies that have entirely defined modern consumer habits. Today, Walmart stands as the biggest retail chain in global history. Taco Bell, meanwhile, operates worldwide as an ambassador for Mexican-inspired fast food, often serving as the very first taste of anything resembling Mexican cuisine for people all over the globe. These two wildly different companies grew into ultimate titans of American consumerism for one simple reason. Their founders paid the absolute closest attention to what was already working in the market, and then figured out how to deliver it faster, cheaper, and more consistently than anyone else. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about the local places you absolutely love going to today. Who is out there right now, sitting in a car with a notepad, or meticulously analyzing a local menu, taking notes on the places you shop and eat at today, quietly designing the global empires of tomorrow? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep your eyes open. The next big thing is probably being reverse engineered right down the street.